It being 5 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of August 10th, 2021 is hereby called to order. Ms. Carleen, can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Adams. Mr. Grow. Mr. Melvin. Mr. Wendell. Mr. Arabi. Chairman Otem.
Here.
Mrs. Chesson. Mr. Lorraine. President Chesson.
I'm here.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carleen. It looks like we have a full house. If everyone would please rise, we'll be led in the invocation by Mr. Lorraine, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Adams.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for attending tonight's meetings. I'd also like to remind anyone wishing to address the council that there are blue forms by the door. If you could fill it out and get it up here to Ms. Carleen, we'll be sure to recognize you during public wishing to address the council. Just as a reminder, during the ordinances, I will ask for public input. Resolutions, however, will only be discussed up here by the council. So if you have an issue, please get it in front of us as soon as you can. Additionally, if anyone is interested in a mask, there are masks at the door. If anyone feels uncomfortable because they're too close in proximity to someone, we do have some chairs pretty spaced out on this end. Okay, with that said, we'll move right into item A, approval of minutes. I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the July 27, 2021 regular session. So moved by Mr. Arabi, second by Ms. Chesson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item B, we have none, Ms. Carleen.
No, sir. We have none.
Item C, state and/or federal legislative updates. Item number 2, Ms. Beryl Almady, Louisiana State Representative, District 51, to present an after-session report. And you have the floor, and do feel free to unmask as you speak if you so choose.
Thank you. I will do. It's easier to speak that way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for setting aside a moment or a few moments for me to let you know what business the legislature accomplished this year. This year we had a fiscal-only session, and you know what that means. Not much, except that it's the only time we can pass tax increases. So we started on April 12th, and we ended on June 10th. And in the course of the session, we handled 1,702 instruments. 959 of those were bills, 37 were constitutional amendments, but don't worry, you'll only see 9 on the ballot this fall. Of course, they'll be on 2 different election days. I don't know why. I don't remember why we kept on dealing with the dates, but if you really want to know, I'll make a call to the Capitol and refresh my memory. Anyway, during the session, we went in with certain goals in mind. We had heard plenty from constituents around the state on items of importance, including simplifying the tax code to make Louisiana more competitive among the other states, investing in critical infrastructure, helping students recover after missing so much classroom time due to the COVID shutdowns, beefing up election integrity due to the headlines from across the nation, and supporting pandemic recovery efforts. So we sent voters a plan that you'll see this fall for centralized sales tax collection that will greatly help our small businesses. We passed some common sense tax reform that lowers the rates for individuals and businesses, which should provide tax relief for us all, and move Louisiana up on the charts from 42nd to 38th on the Tax Foundation's ranking of states according to their business climates. We passed House Bill 514, which started off as a marijuana bill, but through the magic of the legislative process, it was completely transformed and doesn't even include the word marijuana anymore. But what it does is it will fund the greatest amount of road and bridge projects in one fiscal year than we've seen since at least the 1990s by using tax dollars we're already collecting from the sale and rental of vehicles. We allocated special funding to help students who were behind to catch up through tutoring and remedial programs, and we passed bills to help with the election process and the purchase of voting systems. So this year, as every year, we pass a budget and it's always balanced because it has to be by law. You just may or may not like how it's balanced. So the budget this year is up to $43.3 billion, which again is record-breaking for Louisiana. It includes $18.2 billion for health care and $10.1 billion for education when you consider K through 12 plus higher ed altogether. So just health care and education make up $28.3 billion of a $43.3 billion budget. The state general fund portion of that, which is really the only part of the budget that the legislature can move around, is $9.1 billion. And again, the bulk of that goes to education and health care. And by the way, the MFP is funded this year at $3.9 billion, and it tends to increase about $500 million each year over time. The budget this year includes $3 billion from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. That's coronavirus state fiscal recovery money. The tax reform package that we passed includes 4 main bills, the first of which is Senate Bill 159, which is a constitutional amendment. And this would limit the maximum allowable income tax rate to 4.75%. And if this amendment passes in the fall when the voters see it, it will also trigger all the other 3 bills to also go into effect, which will limit individual income tax, and it also includes a trigger to automatically lower tax rates if certain revenue thresholds are met. It will lower corporate income tax and corporate franchise tax. Eventually, I believe the corporate franchise tax will disappear if thresholds are met over the years. We did a bit of insurance reform, including, especially while we are now in hurricane season, so this is hopefully something we do not have to deal with this year, but just in case we do, we passed House Bill 457, which enacts standards of conduct for claims adjusters, including truthful reports and appropriate care when dealing with the elderly, and no financial interest of any aspect of the claim. We also passed House Bill 585, which requires field adjusters' reports to be given to policyholders within 15 days of the time the report is requested, and it also increases penalties for insurance companies that violate the rules regarding homeowner claims. We also passed House Bill 577, which establishes a 5-year trial program to increase the market options for residential flood policies. In education, I sit on the education committee, and we heard over and over this year a very disturbing statistic, and that is that 45% of our third graders are not reading at grade level. So we passed bills that will help with literacy. One especially was a Steve Carter literacy program that's going to provide supplemental education services to students in kindergarten through 5th grade. Another bill that we passed is nicknamed TOPS for Adults, and this bill will allow financial assistance at community and technical colleges for adult students who are pursuing associate's degrees or educational credentials that are aligned with workforce priorities. And it has a very generous income limit of 300% of the federal poverty level. That's going to be for residents who are 21 years of age or older who do not already have a bachelor's degree. Municipal, we passed several municipal bills. House Bill 622 establishes the Office of Rural Development within the governor's office, and it will give this office authority concerning broadband, water quality, and sewer treatment plants. We also passed a bill that allows tourist commissions to create tourist recovery and improvement districts as long as they get approval from 2/3 of the businesses within the district. Another bill requires background checks of potential fire and police civil service board appointees, and if they can't pass the background check, they won't be eligible to serve. And another bill requires fire and police civil service employees who have resigned or retired due to injury or a medical condition to be reemployed as soon as they have clearance from a physician. In other news, we passed wildlife and fisheries bills, one that removes criminal penalties for low-level hunting and fishing violations, and another that's going to update and restructure and simplify the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries fees for recreational licenses and commercial licenses, and vessel registrations. And the commercial license part will be restructured and phased in over a 3-year period. Now, let me go down a quick list of bills, rather randomly, just bills of interest. Under economic recovery, we passed a resolution. There's currently a formula in law that says that it would require an increase in the unemployment tax whenever it's necessary to keep the unemployment fund solvent. Well, with COVID unemployment, over the past 17 months, we have exhausted our unemployment fund, which was in outstandingly good condition at the beginning of last year. We have since borrowed from the federal government, and the loan is not zero interest, and so we want to pay that back as quickly as possible, but we don't want to do it on the backs of our businesses. We'll be using a lot of that federal relief money that came in to help, and so we temporarily suspended the law that would require an increase until August of 2022, and this should keep that burden off of our businesses that are trying to recover. We also passed an increase in the maximum weekly unemployment benefits to the tune of about $30 a week. For law enforcement officers, we made some changes to post-training. We also required some guidelines in officer training to ensure the safety of dependent children whenever their parents get arrested. Excuse me. Under a topic that I've labeled Law and Liberty, we passed a bill that creates the crime of staging motor vehicle accidents. So this should help all of our auto insurance premiums go down. We passed a bill that allows an offender who completes a bachelor's or a master's degree program while in custody to earn additional good time credit. We reduced the amount of time a person can be held in jail without being charged. We passed a bill that requires that a defendant be informed of certain rights and consequences before they plead guilty or nolo contendere. We removed the time limit for victims of child sexual abuse to file civil suits. We raised the minimum age to purchase tobacco and related products from 18 to 21. We passed a bill that requires the playing or the singing of the national anthem at athletic events that are held at publicly financed venues. And we also passed a constitutional carry bill, a bill that prohibits discrimination on the basis of COVID shot status, better known as vaccine passports, and a bill to promote fairness in women's sports, all of which were vetoed by the governor, along with about 25 other bills. And this prompted us to go into our first ever veto override session under our current Constitution, which was passed in 1974. Now, none of these vetoes garnered enough votes to be overridden, and some people have claimed that the veto override session was a failure because of that. Well, I want to remind you, years ago, when people thought that it was not humanly possible to run faster than a 4-minute mile, somebody finally did it. And now it's kind of a standard for the elite runners. So I believe that simply holding a veto override session for the first time ever has broken that ceiling, and I expect, and many people expect, that in the future we'll see more veto override sessions. The next session that we expect to go into is probably going to be around February, and it's going to be for redistricting. And I just wanted to announce that the state has established a website where you can get lots of information about redistricting and the process, and it is redist.legis.la.gov. So that's redist.legis.la.gov. And so we expect a redistricting session around February because the census numbers are late and they should be released shortly. But we won't be able to process those numbers and go into a redistricting session before the end of the year. It just doesn't seem likely. Now, there will be 2 elections this fall that will have constitutional amendments on the ballot. On October 9th, there will be 4. And 2 of those 4 are part of the budget reform package, the tax reform package I mentioned. The one that creates a state and local streamlined sales and use tax commission will be on the October 9th ballot. And the one that reduces the maximum rate of income tax will also be on that ballot. And then on November 8th, there will be 5 more constitutional amendments, and these are not related to the budget. And I'd be happy to go over those tonight if you want, or what I'd prefer is to come back a little closer to election time and share with you details about those. So I am happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much for the report. Mr. Adams, you have the floor,
Okay, you
sir.
said something about the Fishers voter registration stuff, y'all making us pay more for that?
You're talking about wildlife and fisheries?
Yes. So we gotta pay more for a fishing license?
Yes, I do believe that that bill will increase some of the licenses, but it also combines certain
So
licenses.
I think fishing license is useless to begin with, because you gotta take a test for a driver's license, you gotta take a test for hunter safety course. I mean, nobody shows me how to cast. So I'm just saying, I think they're useless anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Grove.
Are they doing away with the lifetime licenses with this? Did they cut that out? You know?
I don't remember if that was handled in this
Didn't you say
particular
something about
bill.
that? It was up
It's,
there?
it's very complex, and you really need to read up because there are bits and pieces. Some of it's phased in over a number of years, and so some of the lifetime are going away. However, you're grandfathered in if you do have it already.
Get it now. It's probably not going
Yes,
down.
and there's a cost going up ASAP, but it's really complex. And actually, I want to thank the legislature because they actually fought back, and it was really some outrageous. Some of them were 7 and 8 times the current cost, some of the fees. So I'm thankful that the legislature pushed back, both in the House and the Senate, and there were some amendments made and et cetera.
The other question I had is about the tops for adults. Is it mostly for like technical colleges and stuff like that? Like, is there anything at Nichols or at Fletcher that you can, as an adult, go back to school for there?
It says financial
They're more like
assistance for
trade school.
students in the Louisiana Community and Technical College system who are pursuing an associate's degree or an education credential. So I don't believe that this would apply directly at Nichols.
Okay.
Now, after they earn their associates or better, they could take that to Nichols.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Mr. Araby.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Ms. Barrow, for coming over here, giving us that report. And I'd just like to ask you that if you can find some additional funding to help out the Department of Transportation and Maintenance, we'll appreciate that because we sure need some help down in Lafourche Parish with the Department of Transportation.
Yes, and I am in almost constant conversation with our regional director for DOTD that watches over the whole district and then the sub-district of Terrebonne and Lafourche, especially right now at this time of year because of grass,
Correct.
tall grass. It's such a nuisance, and it can be a
Grass
safety
and
hazard.
drainage.
Yes.
We had a
grass
meeting with
drainage.
Mr. Sean Wilson ourselves, and that's why we're asking to see if y'all can send him some additional funding.
Yes, and they always do mention funding, and of course, you know, funding would be great to have. But at the same time, one of the conversations that I've had with them has been what we can do even within the current funding we have. For example, it does not appear that certain maintenance decisions are always made with safety as a top priority. And so we've had a couple of discussions about what we can do about that in the meantime. Also, I've been encouraging those with the proper credentials who could contract with the state for things like grass cutting to please submit some offers, because the number of miles of roadway within a parish that are maintained either by the state or by the parish it's public knowledge, it's known, it can be found. And I'm thinking that if what we're really having are a lot of staffing and equipment problems, then perhaps it's time to look at the possibility of contracting a portion of that maintenance out, especially in the very critical areas where safety is a big concern. So those are some of the conversations we've been having.
Well, great. Good. Anything you can do for us, we'd appreciate it down here in Lafourche.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yes, I want to thank you for coming also, and I just got 2 quick questions on the recreation licenses. They're going up on that, right? The fees.
I have not looked at the whole scale of what's going up and what's being condensed.
Would you say that, do you get more licenses year to year, or is it stabilizing, or?
I was told that it should be less.
Less, huh?
Less, that they should be combining some so that
Okay.
you don't have to get so many licenses
And
as a
just like-
commercial fisherman.
Commercial fishermen, I can tell you that's 50% less than ever before, but yet we're gonna go up on the prices.
Right,
I mean,
and for,
it's just not right. I don't think it's right.
especially
And
when the
it's not
market is
fair. I mean,
down.
these people are struggling. And every time, it seems like nothing goes down, everything goes up. Not faulting you. I don't know how you voted, if you voted for it or not. Maybe you might not want to tell me, but
I'm happy to tell
whatever.
you, but that would be political, so I'll have to tell
I
you
I
later.
just think it's always going up, going up. You ain't got to worry about me with my boat, because I didn't sold my boat. I didn't renew my license. I got one boat, another boat. So
Yes.
that's somebody, and I just don't think
Yeah, and you're
we
preaching
need to
to the
fight
choir.
more for them fishermen. All fishermen, recreation and commercial.
I agree. We sold our boat and we
They
haven't
always
bought a
put
new
on
one
the
yet.
back burner.
Yep. We sold ours and haven't bought a new one yet because I'm not quite sure where I can actually go fish, but that's a gated canal issue and a topic for another time.
Okay.
Yep.
And thank you very much for coming.
Sure.
You really show interest.
Well, thank you.
And I've seen you in the legislature. You're a little fighter.
Well, thanks for coming visit the Capitol. I welcome everybody to come visit.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Thank you very much for the legislative update. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks. Do we have any other state and or federal legislative updates? Any other legislators in the audience? Okay, we'll move to item D, certificates of recognition. Item 3, Parish President Archie Chesson to present certificates of recognition to Lafourche 4-H participants on their placements in various categories for national and state competitions. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to do this from down here so we could do them as they come up. What?
Come on. Show a little dignity, guys.
All right, so we have a whole host of 4-H kids, and I know Miss Teddy Falls is here, who does a great job with them, that have done a whole host of good things across. We're going to get to the national champions, but we have a lot of kids who have done a lot of high placing in their 4-H awards. So Miss Kristen Richard from Central Lafourche High School to being elected to the State Citizenship Board. We'll just do a group shot at the end, Robbie. How about that? Ms. Layla Zerlot, Central Lafourche High School, for being elected to the State Executive Board at the Southwest Regional Representative. Ms. Gracie Pepper, E.D. White Catholic High School, State Champion of Photography. Dawson Dufresne, Central Lafourche High School, 5th place livestock judging team. Katie Louvier, South Lafourche High School, State Champion Team for Plant Science. Evan Louvier, South Lafourche High School, State Champion Team Plant Science. All right, so I'm going to read these. I think these kids could not make it tonight. Emma Perkle, Thibodeau High School, 5th place livestock judging team. Kyra Keller, Central Lafourche High School, 5th place livestock judging team. Grant Arsimos, Central Lafourche High School, 4th place livestock judging team. Cohen Terrebonne, South Lafourche High School, State Champion Team Plant Science. And Grant Rebstock, South Lafourche High School, State Champion Team Plant Science. Miss Elena Lyons, Central Lafourche High School, 4th place livestock judging team. I don't think she could be with us tonight either. Hillary Terrio, Central Lafourche High School. That's a travesty, Mr. Chairman. 4th place judging team, livestock. And Seth Mitchell, member at large, Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Art, 4th place in career preparation. All right, so the last two are members of the National 4-H Shooting Sports Championships. We have Mr. Seth Montgomery and Mr. Adam Hubble.
Yes, absolutely.
He won first place at the national contest, at the archery division. So
Unbelievable.
vote shooter in the nation.
Yes, so I'm going to do the quick employee of the month, Mr. Chairman, and I'll skip out for a second while y'all do ordinances to take a group picture.
Got it. Congratulations to each of you. It's outstanding. Hopefully look forward to you being leaders here in the near future. So now we'll go on to item E, presentations and or updates. Item 4, Parish President to recognize Lafourche Parish Government Employee of the Month and or WOW employees for the month of July. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our employee of the month this month has been with us for a short time, but has already made a huge impact to our organization. She's a motivated and go-getter and goes beyond and above in her job duties. She performs her job duties with a smile on her face and is always willing to lend a helping hand. There's no task too big or so small, and she does not stop until she gets the job done. She's a great asset to our Buildings and Maintenance Department, and we're proud to recognize her as our Employee of the Month for the month of July, Miss Rosella, as I call her, Rosie Thibodeau.
That's it? All right. Yes, I think the parish president would like to take pictures with all the 4-H students. Congratulations again, outstanding.
In the nation.
As they step out, we'll move to item 5, Mr. Matthew Morgaglio with Collier, Slavin and Company, LLC, to discuss the 2020 audit. Matt, you have the floor. Just remember to state your name and address for the record.
Sure.
And everyone should have the audit presentation report in front of their chairs.
My name is Matthew Margaglio, 200 South Main, Abbeville, Louisiana. I'm here tonight to go over the audit report for December 31st, 2020. Y'all should have...
Just real quick, I'll note at 17:30 hours, Mr. Adams stepped out the chambers. Go ahead, I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem. So the financial report is about 200 plus pages. We're not going to cover all 200 of those this evening. I'm going to go over a short presentation just to hit some of the highlights. Thank you. The audit report contains 3 elements that are ours as your financial statement auditors. The rest of the packet belongs to management and the council through the actions that they take through processing transactions and council approval of ordinance, resolutions, budgets, and things of that nature. In our presentation report, the auditor's report, independent auditor's report, our report on internal control, and our report on the federal awards is the components that are ours. Those 3 elements describe management's responsibilities for the financial statements, and those are the overall financials and the accounting records, internal controls, compliance with laws and regulations, and preventing and detecting fraud. Our responsibility, as it's described in those reports, is to obtain an understanding of the processes, procedures, controls, and compliances, to test transactions to ensure compliance with those reporting elements, to test sufficient transactions for us to express our opinion on the financial statements, to express an opinion on those financial statements, and to report on any direct or material control or compliance elements that we may find throughout the audit.
At 17:33, Mr. Adams has re-entered the chambers for record.
So the overall audit results. In our opinion, the financial statements in this packet are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with GAAP. That's considered an unmodified opinion. That's a clean opinion, the best opinion that these financial statements can get. When this is turned over to your bond people, your grantors, legislative auditor, and the general public, they read that paragraph, they're satisfied, they're happy that you've got a clean opinion on those financial statements. In addition, we looked at your federal compliances with certain programs. Due to the dollar amount of federal awards that you get, we have to perform what's called a single audit. That's special rules from the federal government that describe what we have to come in and test. We test against those requirements, and we have a clean opinion in that report. There was no non-compliance that was noted. As a governmental organization, we also look at some policies and procedures, internal controls, and compliances with laws that the legislative auditor in Baton Rouge tells us we should look at for all of the governmental organizations that we audit. When doing that, we did find one issue that we wanted to bring to everyone's attention. It's a minor issue, but it's related to budget compliance. There's a 5% variance issue that came up in the revenue in the library. As far as we could determine, it had to do with the timing of when the amendments were made in relation to when the tax millages were rolled out, and that should hopefully resolve itself going forward. The next couple of pages is a summary of the financial data. We're going to look at some of the dollar amounts for the entity, the parish as a whole, and then we'll get into the general fund, which is your primary operating fund. So the first page, page 3 of the handout, is your total governmental revenues. This is all of your sources, all of your funds, everything for the parish, all combined. And your total revenue was about $62 million for the year. Your total expenditures was about $65 million. And that left you with an ending fund balance of $84 million for the parish as a whole. Now, not all of that is usable by the parish for whatever you choose. Most of it is restricted, whether it's dedicated for debt service, property tax resolutions, library, sales tax, and things of that nature. That is where your fund balance left. If we look at page 4, this is a breakdown of the revenue sources. Where did all that money come from? And your largest source is about $23.6 million, and that's property tax money. Your next largest source is sales tax. You'll also received about $11 million in federal dollars this year. And the rest of it is state sources, other sources, and some minor taxes. That's where all of your money for the entire parish comes from. If we move on to page 5, this is where the money was spent. 34% of your funds were spent on public works, roads, bridges, drainage, that sort of thing. Capital outlay made up another 17%. The general government was 13%, as was culture and recreation, and that followed up with health and welfare about 12%, and the remaining are the smaller components of the parish. If we move on to the next page, page 6, this is just your general fund. So we like to focus on the general fund because those funds are typically unrestricted. You can use those to plug other holes in some of the dedicated funds or kind of use it for what you need to. Your general fund, between transfers in and total revenues, took in about $13.6 million for the year. You expended about $12 million flat for the year, and you have now an ending fund balance of about $2 million, which is a pretty substantial increase from the prior year where you were at about $300,000. So that's moving in the right direction. That's what we like to see. The larger that fund balance is, the better off you are that you can weather the storms as they come through. It allows you to kind of patch some holes where the compliance says you can't spend this percentage of some grant money. You use your general fund money sometimes to do that. So having that fund balance allows that in future years. If we move on to the next page, this is just a breakdown of where all those revenues came from. We can see here that ad valorem taxes made up about 27% of your total funding. Licenses and permits was another 30%. And you have some other minor taxes, franchise tax, severance tax, gaming taxes. Those made up about 10 or 11% each. So the two largest sources is your licenses and permits and your ad valorem taxes. If we move on to the last page of the handout, your expenditures, and this is where you spent your general fund monies. Salaries and benefits, taxes, retirement, health insurance, et cetera, made up about 67% of your total expenditures out of the general fund. It's pretty comparable for the prior year. It's also very comparable for parishes and local governments throughout the entire state. We see as governments are typically service-oriented, salaries and benefits are one of the largest components in there. The rest of them make up very minor components of this, but as 67% of your total budget, and again, comparable from the prior year, that's where we typically expect y'all to be spending. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them at this time.
Appreciate that, Matt. Anyone have any questions for Matt?
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thorough and,
Go ahead, Mr. Grew.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Easy to read and, straight to the point.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're available if anyone has any follow-ups as you review your actual packet.
Absolutely. Ms. Carlene has all of my contact information. Please share it with the council members. If any of them have any questions, I'd be happy to address it with any of y'all individually.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate you making this such an easy process, and we want to thank all Lafourche Parish government employees that are involved for months with getting this work done as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll keep moving along with the agenda. Item number F, Item F, Legal Advisor Report. We have none. Brings us to item G, Engineers, Architects Reports. So we have some engineers, architects in the audience. Remember to state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering, 16878 West Main Street in Cutoff. The project we have in front of y'all is the West 55th Street Drainage Project. I am almost happy to report that the project is almost complete. We have one more catch basin to put, which is the first catch basin in the front of the road. In conjunction with y'all's staff at Public Works, we did add a couple of culverts to the project to make the project a little better. But again, that last catch basin should be in tomorrow. Then it's just cleaning up, putting in driveways, and there are 2 patches in roads that need to be done.
Thank you for the update, John. Anyone got any questions of John? Appreciate it.
And we did that without taking off the school too bad.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I want to say,
Go ahead, Delaney.
there was a quick panic the day before school started about that they were cutting into the road and the buses were going to have to pass and parking for the teachers, but overall, I think we got it done pretty well, or y'all did it very well. Great job.
Contractor did a good job.
Yep, and the yards look good.
Good deal. Do we have any other engineers and or architects? If anybody recognizes them, it's been a while. Remember to state your name and address. It's been a long time.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back. My name is Jack Plaisance with T. Baker Smith, 412 South Van Avenue, Houma, Louisiana. And I just have one project to update. This is East Side Drainage Improvements Phase 1, Canal excavation. You probably know this is a drainage project primarily on the 20 Arpent Canal and the La Rose Cutoff area. And at this time, Louisiana Contracting Enterprises is making their submittals and preparing to go to work. We're coordinating with them on those submittals and also with DOTD and expect to have a pre-construction meeting forthcoming. If there's any questions about that project, I can try to address those for you.
Anybody any questions, East Side Drainage?
Oh, not on East Side Drainage.
Go ahead, Mr. Adams.
Y'all are the guys that were working on the levee off of Choctaw Road?
I'm not sure about
No,
that.
That's not them? Okay.
No.
I was just trying to see. I don't remember who it was. It's been so long since we had an update. So, all right, thank you.
No, cool.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead, Bo.
I'd just like to say, nice to see you again, Jack.
Yeah.
thanks.
The same here.
Mr. Melvin, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Do we have any other engineers and or architects wishing to address the council? Okay, that moves us to item H, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, et cetera. Ms. Carleen.
Mr. Farrell Boudreaux, if you come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Farrell Boudreaux, I live down West 11th Street, 713. I was here on the April 27th about drainage problems. I was told from Dylan he was going to get in touch with me. I haven't heard none yet. I guess it takes to come to the meeting to get answers, because you don't get answers anywhere else.
Okay, you have anything else to add? Does anyone from the wish to address? No comments? You want to make a comment, Dylan?
Yeah, sure, I
Okay, you
can.
have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Boudreaux, we are working on the project. We have not put excavators on site yet. We are having some issues with elevations. There's an old slab that we're not sure how it got there.
I've been hearing the old slab since before I lived there. Y'all was supposed to remove the old slab last time y'all was there and did not remove it. Okay?
So that must have been in the previous administration. We were unaware of it. When we surveyed it, we did find it. We're trying to figure out how to address that and the culvert underneath the road. But as soon as we do,
Well, I mean, culvert on the road, you should address that already. You told me as soon as y'all did the project down in Cutoff, you was gonna bring an excavator and do the thing, at least for the roads for us. Which is, to what I was told when they shot the elevation, the culvert is 2.5 foot above my ditch. So what good that culvert does me? It's a dam.
so
Understand what I'm getting at?
I do. So we are not done with the project in Cutoff either. That one the second phase of that project should start up tomorrow. And as soon as that job is finished, we do plan to have a plan in place for your street.
Well, I have another question. Who's in charge of speed signs down streets?
We can install them.
I like one installed at the beginning of our street. You know, we first people going down the street for speeding. We got 2 signs down our street. You know, you should have one at the beginning of the street, you know. But I'm over here mostly about the drainage. I will be back next meeting. I mean, it looks like to me that's the only way you get answers if you come over here. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Next.
Mr. Brian Martz, if you come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
My name is Brian Martz. I live at 625 West 13th Street, La Rose. I currently serve as the president of Drainage District Number 1. And I'm here to address the council. At last month's meeting, there were some comments made by a board member that didn't express the sentiments of the rest of the board members. So I'm just here on behalf of the rest of the board members to let the council know that we, you know, enjoy working with the council and with Public Works, and that we hope that we continue to work with them on getting some projects done. I know sometimes people get kind of discouraged and disgusted at the speed at which sometimes that things get done, but I think overall that the new administration and the new public work director and also the regional bonds and stuff are doing a pretty good job since they've been put in place, and we just want to continue that.
Thank you. Very professionally said, Brian. Does anyone have any questions for Brian? Mr. Araby.
I just want to thank you, Mr. Bryan, for all the work that y'all doing for our area. As you know, I was at one of y'all meetings the other day looking for a little bit of funding, and y'all came through for me. And I thought, like I said before, I will be back. But again, I just want to thank you and your board for everything y'all doing for the parish. Thank you.
And again, you know, like I said, if anyone needs help, you know, that's what the money's for, is to help people. So I mean, we can't help everybody at one time, but I mean, we try. So.
Well said. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate it. Thank you for your service. I'm sorry, he didn't have his light on. He just put his light on. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, Brian, thank you again, but real quick, just wanted to tell you, thank you for your service, because I know your dad was the same way, and again, taught us to sing, and when I was at school down in Bay, and just did a lot for the community, so thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Brian.
Mr. Chris Disher, if you come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
My name's Chris Disher. I'm representing Cajun Broadband, P.O. Box 312, Cade, Louisiana. I'm here as an introduction and also an offer to assist Lafourche Parish. We started our business as being underserved in our homes in Lafayette Parish 2017, and then started servicing the internet on our streets. It quickly grew we grew 10% month over month for 3 years, and then COVID hit and we tripled in size, and we just didn't know the magnitude of people that were underserved with internet in Louisiana. Upward of numbers of 40% are underserved. Underserved is 25 megs and below. So we're here we're community-based. We're part of the community. We give free internet to churches. We give free internet to fire stations. People get laid off. We give them free service for 2 months to get them back on their feet. We listen. People that are in medical need that need service, we go out of our way to do whatever we can to get them service. So we're here to say we're part of your community also. We purchased 3 companies, and we now are operating in Lafourche Parish, based out of La Rose, and we plan to continue to expand down there, because even people that have service would look like for another option, because nobody has 2 options for the most part. They have 1, and most time it's poor. So I'm here to offer our services to help Lafourche to have better broadband services in the rural communities or anywhere that's needed. There's 3 available areas for funding. The Rural Digital Opportunity Fund that was issued by the FCC last year. A lot of Lafourche wasn't covered by that one. The American Rescue Plan, which you guys are familiar with, some of that can be used for broadband. I know you have drainage issues and things you need to take care of. but if you want to use some of that for broadband, you can. The bigger one is Act 477, just passed by the legislature, that has $180 million available for rural broadband, and they're hoping with the stimulus money that it comes in, they're going to get $600 million just for Louisiana. So the time crunch right now is the rules are going to come out in the next 2 weeks, how we work with a private-public partnership, and then the application process starts from October 1st to October 30th, and money to be dispersed in January. So it's not a lot of time to do anything well. So I'm offering my services to this parish to help them figure out what the problems area are. I'm offering a CRM we can put together, Connect Lafourche, I call it .com. We send that out through the whole parish and have people put their names in on where they need to be underserved, or where they're underserved, and then we can put a map together on what areas need to be hit, Pointe-au-Chien, Ward 6, wherever. And then from there, we can come up with a plan together for our October submission to receive some grant money. From there, we would like to lay the fiber. In February, we'd like to lay the underground fiber infrastructure and then start connecting the homes that need the service. So that's why I'm here today, just for an introduction.
Very good. Mr. Adams?
Yeah, so that was my question, because you have to build a whole infrastructure to bring out broadband everywhere. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to redo, like, I know there's already infrastructure there for the one companies, so y'all going to expand and build on top of that?
Yes. So there's primary fiber carriers all over. There's AT&T, there's Unity, there's Conterra, there's Cox. And so what we do is lease lines from these partners. Like Unity doesn't serve residential. So they say, hey, Cajun Broadband, you do the residential, we'll get you at the beginning of the subdivision, you take it from there. Because we're good at the residential portion. They're not. And so once the infrastructure is laid, then you start connecting to the individual houses.
And this is anything the taxpayers would have to pay for, like personally, or are you doing it through a grant, like you said? Or is like, if I want it at my house, I have to pay for it to bring brought to my house, or is it through the grant?
The grant, hopefully $600 million can be used for infrastructure. So what most people they're talking about doing is laying that fiber down the street. Now we got to connect the houses, then that's going to be a minimal cost, $150 or something like that.
All right, thank you.
Any questions? Administration, you have any questions, any issues? None was said, Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we met with these guys last week. Robbie, I think, sent an email to all of you Friday. If you had any particular areas in your districts that you know are underserved, we've kind of highlighted the Pointe-au-Chien community, the Raceland Prairie, and there's a stretch of LA 308 around Lafourche Crossing. Those kind of three areas came to light through COVID. Kids either trying to do virtual learning. The area along 308 had an attorney and a doc who were trying to do telemedicine, and it didn't work too well through their little MiFis and hotspotting. And then the Raceland Prairie area came up in conversations just the last few months as the American Rescue Plan happened. So if you get that information back to us, we'll get it to Chad, and we'll start to develop kind of a map, and then use that with the Governor's Office of Broadband to kind of map out where we can kind of use this funding. Some of our American Rescue Plan dollars, and I think I mentioned this before, have kind of been set aside for broadband. So if there is any match for some of these grants, we have the capabilities to do that.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. All right, thank you for that presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carleen. We'll move on to item I, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I'll now entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Ms. Chesson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 6, ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 21-025 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget to cover the emergency work for Bayou Chevrel, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 6? 1 time, 2 time, 3 times. Last call. Anyone from the council wants to discuss this? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 7, ordinance declaring property as surplus belonging to Lafourche Parish government, authorizing the disposal of surplus property, authorizing the advertising of surplus items for sale, authorizing the acceptance of the highest qualified bidders, and any remaining items that are deemed to have no value will be properly discarded, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Now, before we, I guess before I ask for input, I'll go ahead and entertain, who has the amendment? Yeah, I think it's you, Mr. Adams. Okay, you want me to read your amendment? Yes. Okay, so we have an amendment from the floor to item number 7 by Councilman Adams. And this amendment is to add the 3 below items to the surplus list. Vehicle is 252, plate PP 232565, year 2013, make Dodge, model Avenger, VIN number 1C3CDZAB1DN554201, and also vehicle 318, plate number PP 249694, year 2010, make Toyota, model SIENNALE, VIN number 5TDKK4CC2AS313730. And there's also going to be a 2011 36 horsepower Pro Drive serial number PD 124018. And that is your amendment from the floor, Mr. Adams. Can I get a second for that amendment? So moved by Mr. Jones. So with that said, we'll allow anyone from the public to comment on the amendment before we take a vote on the amendment. If anyone's not clear, I do have a copy right here if anyone wants to see it. First call for public, second call for public, last call for public on the amendment. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just so you guys know and the public's aware, we're doing this from the floor because those 2 vehicles were wrecked in the last probably 2 weeks. And then we did an engine swap out on a boat. So it wasn't on the original list 2 weeks ago when we had to get it into you guys. So we're just doing it from the floor.
Very good. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, that was my question. Wanted to know if there was any repair work or just anything wrapped in the carton is still new.
No, so most of the vehicles on the actual big surplus list are the older trucks that we swapped out with the recent purchases or leases we just did. The 2 vehicles that are on there have been basically total lost by the insurance company, so we're adding them to the surplus.
Very good. Anyone else has any discussion on the amendment? There being none, we're going to now vote on the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas and 0 nays. Now we will go back to the original ordinance as amended. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance as amended? 1 time, 2 time, last call for public. There being none, anyone from the council? Any last comments before we vote on this ordinance as amended? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. I now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Ms. Chesson, second by Mr. Groh. All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item J, proposed ordinances. Mr. Wendell, you have the floor, sir.
Item number 8, proposed ordinance rescinding ordinance number 5270, which established a 4-way stop at the corner of Country Village Drive and Little Drive, Lockport, Louisiana, Ward 4, District 7, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, and also removed the 4-way stop signs which are located at the corner of Country Village Drive and Little Drive by Mr. Otan. Item number 9, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 3633 as it pertains to signage changes at the Lockport Boat Launch by Mr. Otan. Item number 10, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 4607, reducing the speed limit from 25 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour on the portion of Waverly Road from Maywood to Talbot Avenue, Highway 3107, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 1, District 1, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of speed limit and speed check by radar signs, and providing for penalties for violations thereof by Mr. Jones. Item number 11, proposed ordinance approving servitude agreement between Ridgefield Incorporated, represented by Harold M. Block, and Lafourche Parish government in the Thibodaux area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents by Mr. Jones on behalf of administration. Item number 12, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 6488 that amended ordinance number 6473, which adopted the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Ms. Chesson on behalf of administration. Item number 13, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-026 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget, and for the cooperative endeavor agreements with the Tourist Commission and Fletcher with funds from the Fiscal Recovery Funds, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones on behalf of administration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wendell. Item K, resolutions. Number 14, resolution requesting the administration to provide a high water barricade specifically designed for Brandywine subdivision, moved by Councilman Melvin. Can I get a second? Second by Councilman Grow. Any discussion? Mr. Melvin.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, even if you have a barricade we already have, you just want to label it, because last year when we were having a lot of high water, I remember back and forth, the officers even called the sheriff's department, they were out. It was just a bad day, probably March 23rd if I recall, but again, they didn't have a barricade, and they have, they have some high water back there during rain, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Being no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 15, resolution requesting the administration to put 2 signs which read, funded by Lafourche Parish government on the pavilion at the skateboard park, moved by Mr. Lorraine. Can I get a second? Second. Second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 16, resolution requesting Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office to perform a speed bump survey on Waverly Road from Maywood to Talbot Avenue, Highway 3107, moved by Councilman Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 17, resolution requesting LADOTD, Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, and the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, to check out helicopter flights at the South Lafourche Airport, moved by Mr. Lorraine. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Adams. Discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Grow.
I just wanted I mean, it's not a big deal. It's really about them flying low. That's more when you say check out. I'm just wondering, just seeing that they having a problem over there.
Mr. Lorraine?
I saw, the reason, I was in Grand Isle, they had somebody buzz the beach. I'm like, I don't know how they kept their license for doing that, so is that what you're seeing?
I'll explain it.
Go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
Thank you. First of all, the helicopters at the South Lafourche Airport, which is governed by the Port Commission, but it's not really their fault. This is a critical, serious problem. Something is going to happen if something is not done. And I felt this resolution is necessary to go, in which I talked to Chet, and Chet's a friend of mine, and they're working with him. But this is, you got to go to the correct source. 2 years ago, we had a helicopter went down 5 miles east of Lafourche. Pilot was killed, and the passenger was killed. And I guarantee you that more than likely, they may have flown over the houses. It's ridiculous. I get up at 5 o'clock every morning and I'm working in my yard, and you can't imagine how many helicopters are flying low. I could even see some of the numbers. Got a lot of people that's upset. I attend practically all the Port Commission meetings. And I was at the last meeting. I had a constituent that went there, and he brought it up. Why don't you get a discussion at the next committee meeting on helicopters? Well, the president of the board was very rude and said there'll be no discussions. So I'm just sitting there listening, didn't say nothing. Go to the town meeting in Golometa. The mayor and the town officials are 100% with us by them not flying. They're flying too low. And he addressed them. In fact, he even had one commissioner. He says, we need to get a letter from the mayor. Since when we got to get a letter from the mayor? I cover more than what the mayor covers, district-wise. I cover below. The mayor don't govern below Golometa. He don't govern 308. He don't govern north of Golometa. But I do. And like I said, 90% of the flights is in my area. So I know they're working on it. I think if we pass this resolution, it's going to be strengthened. Because look, let me tell you, there's a lot of people. I'm going to tell you what. If we don't do something, I'm fixing to call a public hearing with the public. Because they're upset, bro. It's not fun. Now, I can tell you, when the windows are going to rattle in my house, they're not very high. Now, I can tell you, I'll be honest, since the port got involved with it a little bit, it got better. It really did. It got better. The way I look at it, if they're flying high and something would happen, they could probably do something better than if you're flying low and something happens, you ain't got a prayer. And I never mentioned the companies that are back there, in all fairness, but we need to send this in, and I'll invite anybody on this council at the port, come to my house and I'll show you. Saturday morning, it was unbelievable how many these air were flying low. You know, not making it up, and there's a lot of upset people, not just in Golometa.
I just didn't know if you wanted to add something identified, like maybe like flying for crews instead of, because we do see in the northern end, I don't know if it's on your area, with crop dust, there's like a lot of, you see in helicopters spraying, you know, and they come low. So I don't know if you're seeing that down there.
I'm telling you, 90% of the flights is in my area. And all they got to do, gentlemen, is fly along the levee on the east side, all the way to the airport, and fly along the levee on the west side. When they get to the floodgate, they can go wherever they want. It's open territory there. Now, I understand you're gonna have a bad apple in that basket. You know, pilots. Every now and then you're gonna have one that's not gonna care, and he ruins everybody. But it's like working on a job. When you got a bad apple, you tin them out and you get rid of them. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But I also want to see the Port Commission. I have a good working relationship with them. The council does. And I'm not here to tackle anybody. I just felt that it needs to be brought up. We need to send this in, and you go to the source. The parish government does not regulate airspace. The Greater Lafourche Port Commission does not regulate airspace. And the town of Golometa does not regulate airspace. DOTD and FAA regulates airspace. That's who you got to go to. No hard feelings. Just let them come in, straighten it up, and hopefully it'll get better. Like I said, and then I'm going to stop. It got a little better. But it needs to get, I'm going to say like John, more better. Okay? It needs to get more better. And that's all I got to say.
So the investigation you're requesting is on the Lafourche Airport. It's not just on all helicopters, because it does say the Lafourche Airport. So the investigation on Lafourche Airport.
It's not really an investigation. I just want them to come there and talk to the companies so they could talk to their pilots and see if we could straighten this up and get better. Because I'm telling you, it's not a matter if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. And I told you, 2 years ago, one went down 5 miles east of the bayou. So.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. Mr. Araby.
Chairman, can I direct some time to Mr. Chesson to get up there and address that situation before we vote on this?
Yeah, if you'd like to give us an update, or if you want to give us some information, more than welcome to have you, Mr. Chesson. If you don't mind, just identify yourself, address.
Sure will. Chet Chesson, 16829 East Main, representing Greater Lafourche Port Commission, in particular the South Lafourche Leonard Middle Junior Airport. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wanted to kind of elaborate on going to the source and the FAA. So there is an FAA guide to low-flying aircraft that you can find online, and it tells you what they need, the FAA needs, in order to open up an investigation about low-flying aircraft. And without going through this whole sheet, I'll just tell you they need three things. One is identification, so either tail numbers like you talked about, Mr. Lorraine, colors, you know, we can identify things by colors, at least narrow it down a good bit. So they need identification, they need a time and place, and they need about altitude, like is it 500 feet, is it 1,000 feet, is it 200 feet? That's the information they need. We are at the Port Commission. I am more than happy to receive calls at, I'll give the phone number, 985-632-6701. Any complaint about low-flying aircraft, I'm happy to receive and submit that to the FAA. We feel as though, as the Port Commission, we are, as the operator of the airport, and these helicopters are our customers. And if there's an issue with them, call us so that we can correct that. And we're happy to be that contact to the FAA any day, anytime. The complainant that we had at our meeting came to our meeting, and we addressed his complaint and got back with him and let him know. I have not received any direct complaints thus far. Maybe we will have some, but certainly identification of those aircraft, time and place, about elevation, where they're flying, we get that information. We are happy to contact the FAA and let them know that we have an issue. Also, as a side, we are, I am scheduling a meeting with our customers at the airport to talk about this issue, just to make sure that we can fix any problems that is currently occurring, and to hopefully fix it for good into the future.
Thank you. We respect you proactively addressing it. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on what Mr. Chesson, no relation, by the way, said, Daniel, I don't necessarily see the point to this, because you're going to send them a resolution to investigate something that you don't have in the resolution what is needed for an investigation. So my thing would be either pull the resolution and let Chet compile some information based on the complaints.
No, you can
because what
shoot
you're
it
going to
down.
send them is not going to do any good.
It's not being pulled. We're going to the source, okay? I'm not gonna name him, but I got a commissioner this morning.
Hold on, Mr. Lorraine, I still have the floor, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like
Let
normal,
him
you're
finish
going
his
to the
point.
source with bad information. They're not gonna be able to do
No.
anything because you don't have anything in the resolution as far as tail numbers or colors or altitude. So what's the point?
Ms. Lorraine, go ahead.
I got a commissioner I talked to this morning that could have read the numbers on the plane. And I could have read some 2-3 times in the last 4 or 5 days, okay? So you know what you need to do? I'm not pulling it. You can vote it down. We need to call a public hearing with the people of that area and let them come voice their opinion at the Port Commission. A public hearing, and let's invite the FAA and DOTD and everybody we need to invite and put it on the table. And I'm making that recommendation. I'm not pulling it. You can shoot it down all you want.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Adams.
Chet, sorry, I was going to ask you the question. So does the FAA have regulations on how high?
Yes.
So why, I mean, so there's a height. So what's the height?
That's
Yeah.
even more complicated.
Okay.
Because the complaints mainly are about helicopters, and it specifically states in their guide, and I can send that to y'all if y'all don't have it already.
Appreciate it.
Helicopters may be operated at less than the minimums prescribed in the other paragraphs. So all of the minimums that they prescribe are for fixed wing aircraft.
Okay.
And 500 feet or above is what many of them can fly at. But we hold the helicopters and we talk to them, and they try to stay, what they're supposed to, try to stay at the 500-foot elevation.
So if
or
they're
above.
caught below that elevation, they have a fine or something they have to pay?
There's something that FAA will do. They'll put them on probation or whatever.
Okay.
If it's something that is an issue with, people in a inhabited area.
Okay, so what I'm getting at on the resolution, it shouldn't be check out, it should be have them enforce this instead of check it out. That's what I'm trying to say. If they have statutes where they're supposed to be at, we shouldn't just tell them to go check it out. We should tell them they need to go and enforce. The wordage on the resolution should be changed. That's what I was getting at.
I think,
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Lorraine.
I think if you get FAA involved and let them go talk to these companies, Port's gonna talk to them, but that's their clients. They're not gonna jump all over these guys. They're renting them the property. Get the source. The source is FAA.
And that's what I'm saying.
Get them involved.
That's what I'm saying. Get
That's
them
it.
involved. Get the resolution, change the verbiage, and put it to where they have to enforce that.
Exactly.
So that's what you want.
That's it.
Okay. Getting them involved is the same thing as making them go enforce it. That's why I want to change the resolution instead of cut off. Go check out. It just don't make sense. Enforce the regulation.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Ms. Lorraine, you have any, that's it? Okay, thank you, Mr. Chesson, appreciate you, Mr. Jones has lit his light up, sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Lorraine, won't you give Mr. Chesson a chance to resolve this issue? Let him meet and see what we come up with.
Mr. Jones, this has been going on for a long time. You got some people that are furious in Golameta, not just Golameta, 308, outside of Golameta, below Golameta, okay?
But this is the first I hear about it.
That might be the first you hear about it, but it's a problem. It's a serious problem. Remember what I'm saying. If something happens, and it's a matter of when, I'm telling you, I see it. I'm there in my yard. I see it. They're flying too low. You got to fly a drone at 400 feet. Nah, helicopters, I mean, come on, gentlemen. I think it got better since they talked a little bit, but I want to send this resolution to the source and let them come and talk to these people. It might help out. But like I said, there's always a bad apple.
But in your resolution, you're checking out what? I mean, you got to be more specific than check out.
Check out the airport, well, read it. It says they're flying low over the houses.
He wants to move this one to a vote
Continue
as
reading
is.
it.
He's already stated that. Okay.
You know?
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Grove?
That's what I'm trying to ask. It came 3 different ways, starting with me. You want to keep it as check out, like checking out a book,
what he
checking
said.
out, just go checking it out.
That's the
And it's up to them to decide what checking out means. You don't want to put investigate or enforce the low-flying people. You don't want to change it at all.
If you look at the rest of the resolution, it's flying over the house and it's flying low altitude. And I think if they go over there and talk to these people, it would help a lot more than just the port talking to them.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Thank you again, Mr. Chesson. I appreciate it. All right, with that said, we'll move this to a vote. Anyone in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll be 2 in favor, 7 against, so motion fails.
Who's the 2 nays, Mr. Daniel and Mr. Tebow?
That's correct. The 2 yeas were Mr. Lorraine and Mr. Adams. That's okay, Ms. Carling. Okay. Number 18, resolution allowing Lafourche Parish Council to approve emergency community services block grant CSBG items. Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion on item 18? All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 19, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Fire Protection District Number 1 Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
19, Dean Martin.
Second for Mr. Martin. Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 20, resolution reappointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 8A Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
I'm sorry, Dilbert Harris.
Mr. Harris, can I get a second? Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 21, resolution reappointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 8C Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
I hope I'm saying this last name right. It's Patrick Wiley Jr.? Wiley Jr.
Second for Mr. Wiley, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 22, resolution reappointing 1 member on the South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
Brian Zarang.
Mr. Zarang. Can I get a second for Mr. Zarang? Mr. Jones seconds that motion. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 23, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Bayou Blue Fire Protection District of the Parishes of Terrebonne and Lafourche Board. Mr. Wendell for the administration. Who you got, Mr. Wendell?
1 reappointment, Mr. Terry Hartsock.
Mr. Hartsock, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 24, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Terrebonne Parish Fire Protection District Number 6 Board. Mr. Wendell for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Wendell?
1 reappointment, Mr. Gail LaBeouf.
Second for LaBeouf. Mr. Adams seconds that motion. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 26, resolution appointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 2 Board. Mr. Araby for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Araby? Nope, skipped one, Terry. 1 up. This is number 25.
That's Mr. Grove's bill.
Oh, that's where I messed up. I said Mr. Araby.
Robert Winkler.
Hold on. Okay, let me reread this. Item 25, resolution appointing one member to the Fire Protection District Number 6 Board, Mr. Grove for the administration. Who do you have for item number 25, Mr. Grove?
One application, one received. It's a former board member, Mr. Robert Winkler.
Mr. Winkler, got a second for Mr. Winkler, a second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Sorry about that, Terry. Here we go. Number 26, resolution appointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 2 Board, Mr. Archie for the administration. Mr. Punch, and a second for Mr. Punch. Second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 27, resolution approving an agreement between the Louisiana Workforce Commission Office of Workforce Development and Lafourche Parish Government with the fiscal agent being LAT Workforce Development Board Incorporated to provide services to youth, adult, and dislocated workers in the region, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 28, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Lafourche Parish Tourist Commission to provide funding to increase tourism, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Discussion. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I included this in the summary, but I know Cody Gray, who's the president and CEO of the Tourist Commission, Louisiana's Cajun Bayou, and Ms. Marguerite Knight Irwin Knight, always mix them up, sorry, Marguerite. Their fabulous chairperson is here. You know, last year we allocated some dollars to help with tourism, saw a huge jump in what we've done. I think it was a catalyst to the Channel 4 series that we had here. This year, because of the American Rescue Plan, been working with Cody on a lot of signage. If you travel around, especially Highway 90 corridor, you see a lot of the tourist signs. We welcome to St. Mary, welcome to Terrebonne, all this other stuff. Not only along those corridors, but interior, once you get on LA 1, 308, the surface streets, to help direct people to swamp tours and things like that. Cody and the staff have done a tremendous job at getting that off the ground. So this would be using some of those American Rescue Plans to help them with that. It'll be our portion of it to help. There's another match I think that they're going to put up as well. So I would appreciate the support.
Thank you. And then we talk about signage. I know outside the tourist center right now, the grass is unbelievable. I don't know if that's something that we can do as a parish or the tourist commission can hire a contractor, but it looks pretty pathetic as the entrance of the tourist area. If there's something we can do, ASAP would be great.
Yeah, so the state, the contractor actually cut it today, which I don't think it looks very much better. It looks like they made hay in the front yard. We have been working, and I guess as a precursor to this, I'll say it, we've been working with a plan to privatize some grass cutting. Not only along residential streets, which I think will be a much more discussion for next year, but like Head Start sites and stuff like that, of which the Tourist Commission would be a part of. So I'm hoping in the next couple of months to get some quotes on that grass cutting so we could actually maintain the outside and the inside. It'll relieve some of the issues I think we've had on the inside of the property, as well as being able to beautify the outside. That way when people come in, they're not looking at 5-foot tall grass.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Mr. President. No further discussion. We'll do this until.
No, I'm good.
Is this the one where it's written out to tourists or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, so my only question was, it appears to me that it's up to like 1.9, something like that. I don't forget what the figure is in the front.
It should be 2.
Is it a reimbursement or, okay, so
Yeah.
it may not be 1.9.
Nope, so if the
It just kind
signage-
of confused me because it's like one check. What if we need to reimburse them quicker?
Nope.
If they do something, by
So
the time we
let's
should be
say
writing them more than one check. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it'll be a reimbursement. So on the signage part, it's up to. So let's say the bids on the signs come back less than what we're anticipating, or half will be less. So we just
Because
kind
there's
of
like 5 criteria or
That's
something I
right,
read.
that's
Okay.
right.
I just didn't understand the one check with 5 things.
Yeah, no, it's not a, we're not going to cut them and ask them for change back. We're going to wait till they get the bill and then reimburse them.
Yeah. And I think what happened, Councilman Groves, you had that mic pointed at me. I can't see when the light's on like that. I'm assuming anyway. Anyone else would like to discuss this before we move a vote? You have your light on? No. All right. With that said, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 29, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and GIS Engineering LLC for engineering services for the project titled Eunice Alamo Pump Station, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Adams will move on behalf of the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion on item 29? Mr. Melvin.
Is that where some of the former Cyprian pumps are going? The ones that aren't no good, I'm just, aren't any good? I mean, is that where they're going?
No.
I just had to ask.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 30, resolution in support of resuming federal offshore leasing in the Gulf of Mexico and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 31, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Nicholls State University for the monitoring and data collection activities related to the Bayou Lewis Marsh Terraces Phase 4 project and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 32, resolution approving bids for miscellaneous materials for the time period of September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2022, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 33, resolution accepting the culvert, metal, concrete, and plastic bids for the time period of September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2022, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Winter for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There be none. We move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. That abstention being Councilman Groh. Item 34, resolution approving amendment number 3 to the sub-award grant agreement between Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, and Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action for the Community Services Block Grant, fiscal year 2020 funds 10/1/2019 through 9/30/2021, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 35, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and GIS Engineering LLC for professional services for the project titled LWI Emergency Backup Pumps, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration, second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 36, resolution accepting a grant from the National Fitness Campaign for an outdoor fitness court and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Araby for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. That abstention being Councilman Wendell.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jones,
we have 3 resolutions.
let's do them.
Can we bring it up from the floor? We need to take a vote on it.
Yep. Is everyone good? Anyone need a break right now? Yep. Okay, we got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Chesson, second by Councilman Groh, that we take a 10-minute break. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes at, we are right at 10 minutes. Okay, I'll now entertain a motion to resume regular agenda. So moved by Ms. Chesson, second by Mr. Melvin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. We return to session at 6:33 p.m. Now we have, there are 3 resolutions that Councilman Jones is intending on bringing up. It does require unanimous consent to move to these resolutions. So at this time, I'm going to do, do they have resolutions? I don't know if yeah, okay, Amendment 1. I'm trying to see what the differentiation is between them.
I think 2 of the CARES Act and 1 is,
Okay, so I don't know what kind of order they have these in.
the way I gave it to you.
I know, but I have to bring up for unanimous on each individual resolution, so I need to identify so everybody knows what we're talking about. I'm trying to see what the difference is. The first one says at the top, amendment number 1, the second one says amendment number 2, and then the last one says amendment number 1, but goes down and has a date of, where it talks about the subaward. That's the same too. 134, the first two are the same. Okay, so what we'll do, just so we're clear, the first one that I'm looking at says amendment number 1 to resolution number 20-275. The second one I'll discuss is amendment number 2 to resolution number 20-275. And then the last one will be amendment number 1 to resolution number 21-134. So the first one I'm going to ask is, I'm going to call for a vote and see if we get a unanimous approval or not. And this is going to be amendment number 1 to resolution number 20-275. Everybody clear on that? Need me to show them? Everybody got it? So with that said, I'll bring up to a vote if everyone is in agreement to go to unanimous agenda on, once again, amendment number 1, resolution number 20-275. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Councilman Lorraine says nay, so this one we cannot bring up for a vote.
Good job at voting in support, Mr. Lorraine, I appreciate it.
Item number 2 is amendment number 2 to resolution number 20-275. Everyone clear on that one? That said, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Lorraine votes nay, so this one also cannot be brought up tonight. And the last one is resolution, amendment number 1 to resolution number 21-134, which is the last one that will bring up for unanimous. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And Mr. Lorraine, so basically that one fails as well. So all three fail by a vote of 1 nay, that being nay by Mr. Lorraine on all three, and with everyone else voting in the affirmative. With that said, we will now move back to our regular agenda, which is item L, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' Reports, Presentations, and or Updates. Item number 37, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Mr. Dillon, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. The August 2021 presentation. Starting in District 1, as always, Eclair Drive, cut grass. Louisa Street, cut grass. Moving to District 2, Choctaw Road, replace collapsed driveway culvert. Highway 304, clean culvert under highway. Waverly Road, cut grass. Desalmans Pump Station, remove portable pump discharge pipe. This portable pump was here before the construction of the new Desalmans Pump Station. So we are getting the old discharge pipe out, cutting it up, put flanges on it, and getting it ready to be deployed should we need it. Choctaw Elementary School installed school zone lights. The signs were there already. These are the flashing lights that were installed. Moving to District 3, this is Highway 3185, swept roadside ditches. Abear Ditch, cut grass. Renee Drive, replace undersized access culvert. And when we say access culvert, this is a culvert that we utilize to access our right-of-way to maintain the ditch. Moving to District 4, Thoroughbred Park Drive, swept roadside ditches. 4 Point Levee, cut grass. Moving to District 5, Hodson Lane, swept roadside ditches. Leo Lane outfall, swept outfall. You see here before and after. Hosea Skyline Drive, swept roadside ditches. Moving to District 6, Paytrail Drive, swept roadside ditches. Central Lafourche Drive, this is a drainage improvements project. Cutting grass in District 6. On the left, you'll see Io Street, and on the right, Market Street. Moving to District 7, Barker Road, swept roadside ditches. Cedar Street, replace collapsed driveway culvert. Country Village Drive outfall, swept the north outfall and the south outfall. Edgar Guidry Pump Station, clean trash screen. Josephine Street outfall, swept outfall. Lockport Boat Launch, repaired potholes. North Oak Street, repaired potholes. And a road failure. Ranchland Trace outfall. This is the completion of the sweeping outfall. We had to get a smaller machine in to finish what was left. Twin Acres Drive, shred trees. Moving to District 8, this is the Cote Blanche Bridge, repaired the winch. Also the Cote Blanche Bridge, pumped water from the barge. East 19th Street, trimmed trees. And East 59th Street, trimmed and chipped the trees. Providence Avenue, swept outfall behind West 54th Street. This project is finally complete. All that's left here is to put a conflict box. In order to get the water out of the subdivision, out of the sloughs, we had to expose a water line and a gas line, so we are working with a contractor to build a conflict box to close those. Triple Ridge outfall, shred trees. Left before, right after. West 83rd Street, dug ditch. Moving to District 9, the Brian Vague outfall, shred trees. East 160th Street, swept roadside ditches. West 123rd Street, swept roadside ditches. West 195th Street, trimmed trees. West 209th Street, swept roadside ditches. And that is it. Any questions?
Go ahead, Mr. Adams.
How you doing, Mr. Dillon?
Doing well, thank you.
How's your mom? I met her the other day.
Good.
She's awesome. But anyway, so Warehouse Road, I remember I asked you about repairing it. Do we have the right-of-ways to actually repair the road, or?
No, sir, we don't. The only right-of-way we have on Warehouse Road is for the drainage. We have the ability to come in and sweep the drainage, but that is it. We have no ability to maintain the road, nor is the road for public use. It is only for local residents and the parish and its employees to maintain the drainage.
All right. I seen you replace the culvert on 304. How about the ditches? Did we ever get back with the state to go and sweep those ditches?
Archie sent a list to DOTD 2 weeks ago, detailing a meeting that we had with them maybe 6 weeks ago, and it gave them a list of everything we discussed and some additional items as well for them to address. They have started some correspondence as of yesterday. I owe them an answer back on a few things, but hopefully we see something resolved pretty soon.
Okay, I'm sorry, one more. The Choctaw boat launch, do we know where to get those things? I know you said they were getting some
So I didn't get to
material.
talk to the project manager on that one today. They did look at it. We did talk to the field office about getting some material and fixing it. It's not a lot to repair. I think it'd be pretty quick once we actually procure the material and go and do it.
All right, cool.
I'll keep
Thank
you posted on that, though. I did
Thank
see your email yesterday asking where we were on
All right,
that.
that's cool.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones.
Okay, yes, Mr. Dillon, can we get a report on the pond back of Old Town subdivision?
So we looked into it. We found some blockages in the ditch. The contractor was nice enough to go and pull all that stuff out, dig the ditch back. We contacted the engineer on the pond to see what was going on, if they noticed anything. They asked us to look at our ditch. We went and looked at the ditch. The ditch was, I guess, it had a lot of grass in it, so we went and cut the grass. We also found when we cut the grass, there was a lot of silt. Maybe came from the development, not sure. We are working with the gas line right now to have it marked so we can go in and sweep the ditch. We hoping that that will help the pond. Once we do all of that maintenance work, we are going to revisit with the engineer, have a scheduled meeting, and go through it. I can involve you with that if you'd like.
Okay, and then we see if the pond is overflowing any.
Yeah, we just want to get the ditch
backyard.
back to where it needs to be. That way we know if it's the pond or was it our ditch that was holding it back, so.
We're
We're
waiting
gonna
for
work to
another
resolve
good
that.
rain, huh?
Yes, sir.
So, all right, Abbey Lakes.
Abbey Lakes,
They cut the grass.
they should have been there today.
All right.
I don't know if they completed it today, but we had 3 guys with weed eaters out there today.
Okay. Also, I want to thank you for that job. Well done by Blake's, the one we looked
sir.
at it with the drain ditch.
Yes, sir.
The water's running good and everybody's happy, so appreciate that.
Glad to hear it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Melvin.
Hey, Dylan, thanks a lot. Real quick, that's down Thoroughbred, there's a culvert I called about that the people in the neighborhood telling me, look, that drains in Nichols Farm, and for years it's always, remaining closed so that they can drain in the back. Do we find out I've had calls on that last week, but also years ago, but I mean, do we?
Yeah, so when you called the other day, we went and closed it. It was open. Not sure how it was opened.
I don't know what circumstances you'd open it, close it.
I talked to Mr. Gary about it, and Mr. Gary said that typically what they do is it stays closed. When the subdivision drains, they'll open it and relieve some of that water off the farm into the subdivision. But it's pretty much whoever's running the pump is watching it. Local field office is watching it on those rain days, so.
All right, real quick, another question too.
Yes, sir.
Just about boom tractors. I know we're having an issue with equipment, and do we have any more tractors that can reach out with the bush hog on the side? Like
We do. So currently, and I looked in this today, we have 9 boom tractors, 3 of which are broken. We have 7 side mowers, 2 of which are broken, and we have 2 tractors with rear mowers, 1 of which is broken. So 3 of them are currently at Sunshine. Some of the other ones are just mower repairs that need to be done. So we're hoping to have 2 of them back from Sunshine sometime next week. One of them's going to be there a while. It's got a major problem. We got to decide if we're going to salvage it or keep it going, depending on what the cost is. I do have, in reference to Parkside Drive, I did get Mr. Gary helped me in getting a tractor from another field office, and they will bring it there tomorrow morning. As long as it doesn't break on the way from Bayou Blue to Thibodeau, it'll be cut tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
They're high maintenance items.
Yes,
unfortunately.
and I mean, these things were locked up for months with the rain, and we cut them loose, and unfortunately, they all breaking at the same time, and unfortunately, Thibodeau has 3 tractors and 3 broken at the same barn.
I grew up where we had tractors. I know how to drive tractors, 3-point hitches, etc. My whole hydraulics, my whole point is tractors can be tough, but it's just like anything else. If you abuse it like your car, it's not going to treat you right. So my point is, I know sometimes people can be a little rough, make a mistake. I'm just saying that my experience with tractors is they can be hard to break.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They, our tractors are used without a doubt.
Mr. Araby.
Mr. Dillon, I spoke to you this a while back again, and you said you're going to probably get with the contractor the parish has for maintenance. Did we ever get anywhere with the Gasville Canal yet?
So he and I were supposed to meet last week. COVID has been taking a toll on both myself and his operation. So he went and looked at it. And he said it's going to be a big undertaking. We haven't got any official numbers on it yet. I haven't been able to meet with him on site, but he did go look at it last Friday, and is supposed to give me some numbers. So I'll keep you posted on that. He said it is a doable job. It's just going to be expensive.
And Mr. Araby, Mr. Chairman, if I can.
Go ahead, Mr. Chesson.
He had a pretty high number. So if that holds, what we'll probably do is include that in the budget for next year. Because we don't have that kind of in the maintenance budget right now. So if we include it next year, he'll get on it right after January if that number kind of holds to be true.
And I'll tell you where it comes from. So you have to have a machine that's small enough to be able to get in it. So he needs a marsh buggy that's a mini marsh buggy, but then the mini marsh buggy can't take those size trees. So there's going to be a lot of labor involved with cutting the bigger trees and having to drag them out because the small machine can't take care of them. Does that make sense?
Can we get a capital outlay project and cement the whole thing? Be done with it? Thank you, Dillon.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Chesson.
West 11th Street. I know we're going to be a little while yet before we can get on the drainage, but can we get someone back there cutting the grass in the ditch?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm being told that that's getting out of hand, of course, and that would need to be done. Also, Highlands subdivision, we're starting that project tomorrow?
We plan to have an on-site meeting tomorrow.
For the right
Yes,
of way?
ma'am.
Okay, that's
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I need to know.
We're
So
still waiting on a
everybody's stuff
little-
should be moved by tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. And we're still waiting on a little bit of more information from the engineer, but we can at least get started with it.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I will tell you the tractors for the Galliana field office, the mowers were put on last week. They should be delivered to Sunshine Equipment either this week or next week. So y'all should have some help down there going from 2 tractors to 4 here pretty soon.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Grove.
Yes, a while back you had mentioned that y'all evaluating equipment to see if we need to keep throwing money at it or get some new stuff. How are we looking on that? I mean, as mentioned, you got a lot of stuff out.
I'd be lying if I didn't tell you it was a constant evaluation. I mean, every day something comes across my desk that we got to put a bunch of money in to repair it. So that is a moving target, and obviously the funding is short to fully replace these things. So it's a balancing act. I talked to President Chesson and Administrator Ogeron as well today. We had those conversations. We plan to look on it a little more. I'm building them a spreadsheet right now so they can look at it and see what's what. But there's no definite answer, I guess, as to what we're going to get rid of and what we're going to replace. But
Yeah.
We did secure some of that bond money, and that is where a lot of it's gonna go to replace some of this equipment. It's just, when you got a $3 million problem and $1 million to fix it, what do you do, right?
Yeah. Buy cars and trucks, that's what we need. We need to start buying some equipment. So, no, sorry about that. The other thing is, Leighton Ditch, y'all took care of that, it does look nice, and I noticed all the stuff around, like Blake's and all that. Can y'all cut the DeGravio ditch? It's been on the radar for a long time.
The one, so.
When I called, next to the sugar mill.
We were supposed to get what we
ditch
could.
behind the bag-ass pile, from the highway, as far as you can go back.
The tractor,
Keep rolling.
and that's another thing. That one's gotta be cut with the 30-foot boom mower. The 30-foot boom mower has been in the shop for quite some time. That's one of them we need to decide if we're gonna repair or get a new one. I finally got quotes back yesterday on a new one. A new one's $260,000, so,
I know, but
I'm just
I
saying,
would borrow
that's-
my neighbor's lawnmower if mine been broken since October last year. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I have one other in the
Can we get a
parish.
contractor to cut it? Can we get some trustees if that's working? We got
So
to
we've been
cut
trying
this
to,
thing.
we've been trying to get trustees, and we can't get a definite answer on trustees as well. Mitch has been working on that with me. I've been trying, look, if you think I haven't been trying,
No, I know. Look, and it's not, I came
It's
back from
frustrating,
Homer
man.
Today, you come over the overpass, come back into Thibodeau, it's a state thing. It looks like a wall. The grass is maybe 10, 12 feet high. What a hidden, watch out for mowers. They better watch out for that sign when they do cut it, because it's hidden. It's underneath the thing. So it's a widespread area. I appreciate y'all reaching out to the state. Appreciate y'all cutting the stuff that y'all cut in Chack Bay the other day by the school. But we got other work orders that need to be done too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's been on the
And
books,
look,
dude.
it's no secret, if we had all our tractors running, if we had 5 extra tractors, we couldn't keep up with the grass. If you look at Highway 90, Highway 90 was cut 6 weeks ago, and it's 3 foot tall today.
Yeah,
I mean, the
it
grass is
grows.
growing at a tremendous rate. You just can't keep up with it.
And I've caught where we've cut it and it's grown so fast again, they think we didn't. I've seen
Exactly.
that, you know. Any updates on that, the parts for that pump on Waverly? I called you about it.
So I got a text during the meeting, I asked this afternoon, finally got a reply back, they're still on back order. We're gonna see if we can't get them through a new vendor. Odds are, because it's dealer item parts, it's gonna be the same back order no matter where we go through. So, we're gonna make some phone calls tomorrow, see if we can't rattle the cage a little bit, but.
Bird dog and that for sure, and just
Yes,
staying on it.
and COVID is starting to take toll again on parts
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
over again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Grove. Mr. Lorraine.
Yes, I just want to tell Dylan that him and I had our differences. I was able to meet with President Chesson, Administrator Ogeron, and the finance lady after a year and a half. And we went over some things that needed to be done. And I want to thank Dylan because he said he would call me on Friday at 11 o'clock, and he did. So I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get back on track.
Yep. No matter our differences, I'm still happy to help your constituents, so.
Mr. Chesson, oh, you okay? You good? Dylan, the only thing I have is, Lockport to LaRue's 40 Orphan, levy. I'll say like, Mike, it looks like it's 20 foot tall right now. I don't know if it's us or North, I know sometimes Action is, right now it's North Lafourche or us. So if somebody could check it out, but, above Chateau, it's the 40 Orphan levy on the west bank.
And that's a new levee that was just constructed? Or no, this is still this is
above.
around the wall levee area, the
Yes.
Delmar Farms?
But
Okay.
not doing on the Bayou Blue.
Right, correct, I understand, yeah.
The
But in
one
that
on the
area?
40s, yes.
In that vicinity, behind Chateau Estates, I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, it's massive, like it hadn't been hit. I know you'll hit the East Bank, but.
We
like
did
some-
just hit the East Bank last week, yes, sir.
Very good, thank you, Dylan, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Brings us to item M, discussion, as we've been doing. Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor.
Yes, first of all, at the last meeting, I was told I was the liaison of the library. Then this flyer came out and they said that Archie, Mr. Chesson was the liaison. So who's the liaison, you or me?
So as the parish president, I'm the ex officio member of the board.
Okay. Just like the sheriff is the ex officio of on the Community Action Board, but he lets Reverend Smith take his place.
Yep.
So am I on or not?
So you're still the liaison, but they are not under no obligation to send you agendas and all that other stuff. They send that to me because I am the ex officio.
Okay, well, at least I want to make their meetings. And I never did these people nothing, and I don't think it's right that the director and the finance lead is going to say that I'm not on the board. That's what, that was said, okay?
You're not on the board. You're the liaison. You're not on the board.
But then, can I go to the meetings? I want to get notified.
It's an open public meeting. You can go all the meetings you want.
So I'm not acting as liaison.
I don't know how to make it any clearer, Mr. Chairman. You are still the liaison, but I am the ex officio member of the board.
Right, I understand that.
Nobody can stop you from going to the meeting, but you are not on the board. I am.
No, I'm not on the board. I was never on the board. Never. My point is, they had 2 meetings and they never sent me nothing.
You know what this is, Daniel?
What? No, I mean, usually they email you, usually they call you, usually they send me a packet. I think the whole council needs to be emailed. Because these people spend money like it goes out of style. Maybe they don't like me because I wanted to take that drainage, put it into the drainage, you know, the money. And that's going to come to a vote of the people, I can tell you that. So, am I going to get notified?
I don't know, Mr. Lorraine. I'm not in charge of the library. You have to ask them. I don't know why they're not sending you stuff. I was under the impression they send it to Miss Carlene and Miss Carlene sends it out to everybody, but that's.
They used to send her the emails too. They don't send her nothing.
All the boards just simply do a public notice.
Yeah.
We don't get individualized from every different, I mean, there are a couple of them that do, but they're all public notices, all the 60-something boards and commissions.
But they did, Orman. They always got a packet, always got a phone call, and the last 2 meetings I got nothing because they don't want me there. And I'm going to go just to show them.
Is that a board that works at the pleasure of the council?
Yes.
Library board?
Sure is. We wiped out that whole
All
board
of them
one night,
All of
the
them.
famous 5.
District that was here, Mr. Bryan.
Well, if you're not pleased, let's change it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all I want to be is notified so I can go. Now, my next item is I'm going to request President Chesson. We need to call a public hearing at the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. In about a month from now, we need to invite the FAA, DOTD, and let the public know about these helicopters. And do it on, if we can, on a Monday or whatever day you want. Get with the director, Chet, and we're going to see if the people's going to come forward about these helicopters. We'll put it publicly. Now, let them come, and we'll see what happens. And I'm going to get with Carlene tomorrow morning to kind of write that up, and we need to organize it to get it done. And that's it.
Ms. Chesson.
I think along with that public meeting, we should have someone there who can explain when it's a larger aircraft, they are going to be louder. When it's flying over, it doesn't matter the altitude. And depending on the weather, it's what makes that sound like it's right over your house when it's not. I also want to say, yeah, we're in a COVID crisis right now. That's what it is. Everybody just pay attention to what you're doing. Take care of your family at home. And we got to work through this together as a parish. And the fighting against one another on vaccinating and not vaccinating is kind of ridiculous, what I'm seeing out there. Let's just work together and help us all get through this. Thank you.
Well said. Mr. Araby.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just publicly want to thank the 2 field officers that work in drainage districts, in Council District 6 area, the Raceman field office and the Lafourche field office. I know I've been sending quite a few requests to both of them for different projects I had them take care of. And those guys are doing a great job with the amount of equipment we have to work with. So I just want to publicly thank them again for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Araby. Mr. Grove?
Yes. So I had a question when the guy was talking about the Cajun broadband. And I appreciate him coming. I hope we have fair competition up and down the parish and everything we do buy. What keeps the companies like Clico, things like that, from coming over here? And we just have energy. I mean, there's nothing against energy. I want to make that very clear. But why don't we have a choice?
So most of it's about infrastructure,
Yeah, it's
right?
infrastructure.
So if Energy's got poles and lines, Clico's not gonna come run poles and lines right next to it to try to hook you up with no guarantee that you're gonna be hooked up to them.
But
So
they've done it in other places. Is it something we can recruit for? Is it something we can reach out to?
Yeah. I mean, we have Sleeka through part of the parish and I think through Gaines, and then you have kind of Energy everywhere else, but it's an infrastructure deal.
Yeah.
You know,
They
with-
come
Hey,
off
look,
of
it's
a
not
line.
cheap. I mean,
No,
just
it's not.
cable, I mean, everybody goes up now, so they ain't running wires. I get it, you know? But, I also get a lot of calls about things like that and, you know, not to mention the sewage and stuff like that, you know? There's only certain people in that game, you know? So I get it, but in power, there are other people in that game. The other thing I want to ask, and I want to make sure everybody's clear on the unanimous agenda. When something comes up, like we just had 3 items, it's generally either somebody's trying to sneak something by us, or it's got a time frame. So, Mr. Jones, did this have a time? Was this something we needed to get done, or administration? Is this something we needed to do tonight?
So what he's referencing is Mr. Lorraine shot down the 3 resolutions to provide assistance to low-income families in Lafourche Parish. That's
One
what
of them
he's
was
talking about.
for $355,000. Another one's for,
Other one,
and it's like
one
total
of,
$900-something thousand dollars. I
it
thought.
was to add about 27,000 to the existing contract. The other 2 was to add Miss Amanda's name and remove Miss Gathery's name from the contract. But if you pay attention, and me being a veteran like I am, item 18 took care of those 3 resolutions.
Okay, so we
So-
don't need, because I was gonna ask if we
Right.
can
We
do
don't
this
need
again.
to do it, right.
It was just something for extra
To do it.
checks and balances, but so we are good, we didn't leave
So you don't
that
need a
money on the
special,
table.
so you don't need a special meeting, because I was gonna offer a special meeting if.
Yeah, 'cause that was my next thing, we're gonna have to pay
Nah, that's.
people to come back
we-
here?
We don't really need it, but it's up to y'all.
No, so you
I don't,
Go ahead, Mr. President.
So and maybe Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys wrote it, but item 18 gave us the authority to kind of bypass the advisory board if we needed to for emergency items.
Emergency
It did
items.
not automatically approve these 3. So you still, at some point, need to approve these 3.
Thank you. So so I would ask my fellow council members and maybe Mr. Lorraine to rethink this as we go along and can we bring up the unanimous once more?
It
Or
was-
is that,
I mean, it was voted down. We can do a special meeting. We can talk about a special.
I'm not coming here, and I don't think the people should pay for us to come here to vote on something when we hear that this is not the wool over our eyes, this is money for poor people. And if we can't bring this back up tonight because of Robert's Rules of Orders, I understand. But if we're shooting it down over something foolish, like I think, I'm only assuming, got shot down or wasn't available to vote on, I think that's a crock, and we need to bring it back up right now.
So
That's my opinion, and
Understood,
I
but
would
it
think
wasn't-
it's everybody else's.
Understood, but it
except for the one on
wasn't,
the
but
end.
it wasn't only one. He actually shut down all 3.
All 3.
So it's not like you're reconsidering a single item.
I want to bring up all 3 as a,
Look,
Unanimous
I'm
agenda
not gonna argue with
twice.
that, and I think my friend from Council District 9 is acting like a 7-year-old who just got his butt kicked in a soccer game and don't wanna go back to class. But, you know, we're not really dealing with money, it's really just the signature authorities. You know, when Diorn left, you gotta go through a process with the state to say who can sign this stuff. In the interim, I can sign whatever I want, because you guys in the initial resolution gave the parish president the authority to sign any and all relevant documents. So this is all part of it, so it could literally wait 2 weeks. I think
you
it's
can make it
absurd that we have to wait 2 weeks over a temper tantrum, but we gotta do what we gotta do sometimes.
but why did we bring it up as unanimous? Why didn't we just wait?
Because I would like to get it
Just to
done,
be
so,
done with it.
It's the right way to do it.
so some of this stuff has
can make it
to,
happen.
there's a September 30th deadline, and I would like to have it done tonight, so we don't have to keep fooling around with trudging papers back and forth to Thibodeau so I can sign them. Amanda can sign them on the spot, and we don't have to keep people waiting for a day or 2 till they can shuffle the paperwork to me, depending on where I am. That's why we tried to do it tonight, but in theory, it could wait for 2 weeks. I'll just keep doing what we've been doing.
Yes, and I do want to comment, I thank Ms. Carleen and her staff, because there are often time-dated items like this that we simply couldn't get on, and we will go to the 8th hour, like right before the agenda comes out, to try to get them. So we do try to work as much as we can to avoid situations such as unanimous, although, I mean, historically, they're not voted down, but But with that said, we always have the special, a special meeting ability. Anyway, Mr. Wendell. Sir. Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Archie, I got a few questions. Okay, again, I just want to ask about, I know, again, they're working through a succession and everything about the land where we want to build the park.
Yep.
Any more news on that? Because I haven't heard anything.
So we kind of engaged Ms. Jerry Jambon, Gyro, who's one of our approved attorneys to work through it. The property has like 100 heirs to it. So we technically have to buy a piece from one person and then force a succession through the court. So she's working on that. We made contact with the granddaughter, who is also an attorney out of California. So we're getting closer.
Okay.
But it's just a paperwork battle back and forth.
All right, I'm just trying to get it within my term,
I
that's
know,
all.
I'm trying,
Yeah.
I'm trying.
All right, and one more, when I was talking about the boat launch, somebody brought it up to me. There's an old abandoned well, and they already pulled the well out right down Sanchez Road from that boat launch in Choctaw. Is there any way we can reach out to that well company? Because during hunting season, they all park on the side of the road. So if we can, since that land is already gravelled out and stuff, and there's no well anymore, they pulled it out, maybe we can lease it from them for extra parking for the people that actually use the launch, because it gets pretty full and they park on the side of the road, and it gets bad for traffic whenever hunting season comes around. So I like if you could take a look at that.
Yeah, I'll get with Amanda and see if we can figure out who the well was for, and then
Okay.
we'll contact them.
All right, thank you.
That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Adams. Mr. Jones.
All right, Mr. Chesson, can I get an update on Mr. Long and the city situation on that property on Vine Tiger Drive?
Yeah, so last time I talked to the mayor, he had talked to the property owner, and she was willing to give the city the right of way. But I have not heard from him. I met with him today about something else, and it didn't come up, but I can check with him tomorrow and get an answer for you.
Okay, thank you. This is not a request, but this is more of a compliment. We've been 19 months into this administration. You've been dealing with COVID, storm, flooding. I think you're doing a great job. And to be honest with you, Archie, you really step up to the plate at the NACO convention. In 2028, we probably be looking at the first Louisiana governor from Lafourche Parish. So thank you for your thing, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Jones. But look, you guys, I said it before and I say it again, the 9 of you have given me and this administration a whole bunch of latitude through all of this and have been really cooperative. And that goes down to Miss Carlene and Tyra and Rachel. And Nooney's right, we push to the 11th hour sometimes, and sometimes I got to send Mitch downstairs to grovel like Carlene's knees to slip stuff on the agenda, and you guys are accommodating. I also got to give a credit to the folks sitting behind me. These men and women do a bang-up job for us every day, as well as the other 300 employees across the field offices who are trying to cut grass in wet conditions and dig ditches in mud and throw tiger dams up after a flood. It's not just me, and I don't take any of the credit. It's the men and women who I get to work with every day that do it. But Mike, I want to touch on something. I think Chairman Otem mentioned this a couple of times. One of the problems, and Dylan and I and Mitch talked about this today, Thibodeau's got 3 boom tractors, right? I'm going to use this analogy. All 3 of them are down, but Thibodeau has seen 10 new subdivisions in the last probably 5 years, 6 years. So we have a whole bunch of new, equity, but we didn't get a whole bunch of new stuff to help maintain it. So a lot of this stuff we're running into is just, it's broken equipment, it's old equipment, but it's just we got more stuff than we ever handled, right? And if you look at the audit report, I think last year we did a pretty good job at rebuilding some fund balances and doing more with less. We can always do more. Maybe we need to, look at some of those fund balances and see if we can put it into some more equipment. But that's one of the reasons we did the bond money, right, was to get a couple new tractors, some new dump trucks, some new excavators to kind of help with the $20,000 worth of repairs that I know Dylan's got for tractors sitting on his desk. The drainage district, I wish Brian was still here stepping up and helping us with tractors on the southern end, and even some equipment that is housed at the Lockport barn that stays up in the northern end of the district. So believe me, guys, we're trying. I know it's frustrating. I talked to Bo this morning about some grass, and that's why we pulled the tractor from Bayou Blue that had a couple days of catch up that we could send up his way to kind of grab some stuff. In a perfect world, we'd get to it all and grass would be short and we can cut it with scissors, but it's just tough sometimes. And I know our guys do a bang-up job, and I know you guys are frustrated, and we do sometimes too, but just for the public to know, we do the best we can every day. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. And with that said, item N, adjournment. I have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. There's no further business. Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of August 10th, 2021 will be adjourned at 7:09 p.m. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes.